Yay! We're live!
Woo!
Yay! Hey guys, welcome to episode 38 of The Trade, comics made for print and web. We've got a bunch of fun new friends to interview today. We've also got some comics news to go over and bitch and bullshit about. Yay! Woo! Happiness! Yes. Yes, vent our vitriol on the internets. Alright, so joining me today, I am your lovely host, Melanie. I do Ornamental at ornamentalcomic.com. I've got Matthew Parker of Border, Kansas, border-ks.com. Say hello.
Hi.
There we go. And we've got Dave Barrick of girlpowercomic.com.
Hello.
And so we're interviewing Chad of Handicape at handicapehero.com, and we also have Bree with us of Patrick the Vampire. Was it patrickthevampire.tumblr.com? Yes. Yeah. No C in Patrick, guys. Just with a K.
C.
Because we want him to be special. And
Also, if you look up Patrick the Vampire on Tumblr, you end up getting into like this whole Fallout Boy vampire AU stuff, where when the band member Patrick is a vampire, it's interesting.
And this is what happens when you Google.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So why don't we get into the news first and kind of bitch and bullshit about that, and then we can go and circle back around and have you guys introduce your comics and tell us about your Kickstarters. Okay? Sound good?
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So I will put links down in the doobly-doo, but over on Bleeding Cool, I found a recent article on stealing! Yay! Isn't that a fun one? Yes. This one in particular, the article is titled, "It's Alright to Steal It, It's Only a Comic." Richard Johnston's the one that wrote up the story, if anybody's needing to Google it up. What had happened was there are some pieces specifically from logs from the Black Forest. Basically what this fine artist did was he literally copied some graphics from the comics, blew them up, and pasted them right onto a canvas. Now, part of this art installation that he did was it's a 3D piece. It includes both 2D and 3D pieces to make one piece. And so, because he did that, they believe that's, completely outside the realm of copyright, which everybody knows is bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go through the article here and you see what he did, it's a 3D art sculpture, basically. It's got 2D elements and 3D elements to it. You're intended to walk around the full piece, getting the full narrative of the story. Now, problem...
Does he credit the original source material at all?
Nope, no credit is given whatsoever.
Oh.
Gross.
That's one of my problems with it. The other one is, you know what? I get inspired by other people's artwork, stories all the time. So I'll make something similar, but I won't copy their identical piece, you know? You know, you can get ideas. Nobody owns the technical idea of, for instance, a man cut them into jigsaw pieces, you know? And it's an awesome idea, and I love that story. I've actually read that story before. And it's great, but, I could do something completely different that still would get the same idea across.
Yeah.
And that's why this is kind of one of those that, is a fucking kick in the teeth. This is straight up stealing, like Liechtenstein did, and has done for years now. And, it's just it's wrong. It's straight wrong. You should not steal other people's work, period. I mean, I'm pretty black and white on that issue. But what are you guys' thoughts?
The part that really got me about that article is that the original plan for the piece was to blow up a piece of Roy Lichtenstein's art and use it, but the estate of Roy Lichtenstein would have sued them for plagiarism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just levels of irony. And this idea that that comics are not subject to copyright, or that the misunderstandings of what it means to repurpose or use, or in copyright language transform a pre-existing piece it's staggering. This is the same kind of weird claims about copyright that you hear if you go to conventions, but for millions of dollars and major public art displays.
Yeah, I think it has more to do with the fact that comic book artists rarely have a sizable legal fund.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
pick on people who can't
basically
defend
it.
themselves, essentially.
That is basically it. And they gave some other examples here of somebody else's work that got stolen.
Yeah, from Tank Girl. Looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Especially when you take characters that are more well-known, it's like, how could you not, like, even think to even mention sourcing, or at least getting permission from, I don't know. It's frustrating. But people think they can do with comics.
Yeah, very. I mean, it's a downer. I mean, this actually stops a lot of people from creating to begin with.
Yeah.
Because they're so afraid of getting stolen from.
Yeah, I've seen that, especially like certain websites, or I know some people who draw anthropomorphic stuff. I've seen some art where it's just watermarked all to hell, like to the point that there's no way to remove it without just,
Completely repainting it.
Yeah, completely redoing it. Which I always thought was kind of funny, because, your three-tailed lizard fox thing is not probably something that a lot of people are really clamoring for. I mean, no offense to the artist, but it seems like, I don't know, that gave me the impression that that person thought that their ideas were so incredible that they had to be protected or something, which, I guess it sounds mean to put it that way, but that was the impression I got. You see something like that and it's all watermarked, like, oh, you can't steal this. It's, it's like, I don't want to. Thank you.
Well, and also just the idea that, it's an old comic, so it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, there's a very specific deadline for when something enters the public domain. So unless the comic that you're taking images from is from before 1927...
Well, again, unless you're a big corporation like Disney.
Well, even Disney follows the law. They just have enough influence that Congress rewrote
Changes
the law.
So.
And what that's referring to is the Copyright Term Extension Act, which is also known as colloquially as the Mickey Mouse Protection Act, which changed the term of copyright protection so that Mickey Mouse is protected through at least the 2030s.
Yeah.
Chad, Bree, I forgot to mention Matthew's a lawyer.
I'm an intellectual
Right,
property attorney, and my first article on copyright is actually being published later this year.
Woo!
Yay!
So,
Yeah. Well, we will have to pimp it later whenever it comes out.
I will let you know. It is an article on copyright in regards to tattoos.
Oh.
Ooh, nice.
So here's your
I'll
trivia.
definitely-
Here's your trivia for the day. Do you know what the original term for copyright protection in America was?
Oh, God, no.
14 years.
Wow.
extendable one.
People live to about 28, so.
Well, extendable one time, so you could get a total of 28 years of protection was the original Copyright Act, as opposed to life of the author plus 75 years now.
Yeah.
Which is much nicer to us.
It's much nicer to us, but it also does effectively choke out the public domain. So there's a give and a take in it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, there definitely is.
The thing that we are seeing with this display or this art is it's absolutely what copyright is designed to protect against. It's designed to protect against someone making money off of your work without either paying you or transforming it sufficiently to be its own independent artwork. And I don't think that that's what happened here.
Yeah, I don't think that's what happened at all.
Oh, and I misspoke. Life plus 70 years. Sorry, I'm sick. But yeah, no, this is the world of fine art treating things lesser than fine art, like it's not worthy. Like, oh, we're doing you a favor by making you into something more respectable.
Yeah. And it sucks that there's that kind of point of view in just the art community in general, because like when I went to school, like there's so much emphasis on fine art and like how that is the thing that brings in trustees to help fund the school and stuff, and completely ignoring like more entertainment related majors that actually do attract more students, and kind of like they're the child that is hated but is actually excelling really well. It's Matilda, essentially. So it gets frustrating that that's how it is everywhere.
Yeah, I always thought that was curious because they, like in writing classes or whatever, they spend so much time trying to teach you the classics, but, I mean, yeah, Shakespeare sells a lot of copies, but it's only because he's Shakespeare. But if you want to sell a lot of copies today, you need to study, I mean, in my opinion, you need to study contemporaries, like people who are actually publishing today, like, Tom Clancy, Stephen King, people who write. I think there's value in examining modern authors, even if they may not be literary giants,
Yeah.
And the same thing with the old art. Like, yeah, there's value in studying in old art, but very, 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 very few people make a living, hanging portraits in galleries.
Yeah.
Well, as somebody once put it to me, the reason why fine art became what it was because it was its photography of its time,
Yeah.
They didn't have any other way to really capture the moment, so to speak. So that's why it was so popular. But, now that we have photography, now that we have video, now that technology has changed, that narrative has gone away, and they're trying to hold on to an old idea.
Yeah.
It's not that it doesn't have merit or value. It's that its value has changed. And by taking from the low cousin, as everybody seems to keep putting it, and I just want to pop them in the face every time they do, but I've got anger issues. Yes. No, I seriously, I just don't understand why you think it's okay to take from an old published work. It is not in the public domain. So guess what? You need to go pay for permission, Or like I said, appropriate it enough to where it makes it your own.
Yeah.
That's basically it. And so, so that's our current news situation. Should we hit up on what's currently happening with Angoulême now?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, last episode, last month, we talked about Angoulême and how that giant clusterfuck came to be. And it's currently still ongoing. Everybody thought it had settled down. It didn't. I believe the Prime Minister of France has stepped in, has said they are looking into dissolving the committee that's originally been running it for all this time because of poor acts and poor attitudes to the community.
Wow.
Yay!
I don't know enough about the politics in France, but to me that seems like Congress investigating steroid use in baseball. It's
Basically.
like, aren't there like issues of like national health care and like wars that we're involved in that probably should take more of your time? I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe that happens. That sort of thing happens in France all the time.
If it's putting a poor light on your country and it's become enough of a news issue that multiple other countries are covering it, you might step in.
Yeah.
Well, and remember, this is France. They take art very seriously.
Yes, they do. They are very, very, very art and writing centered. So they take it a lot more seriously than a lot of other countries do. That's why they even had their own council for it. But yeah, so overall, I think it's a good idea that they're actually looking into it, seeing the practices might be a little on the sexist and racist side of the world. Because everything has changed. Yeah, see, and you haven't kept up with everybody. This is intended to be a Lifetime Achievement Award. This is intended to honor people. And yes, they're more French focused, so you have to have gone through a French publisher. But there's still plenty of English writers and comics artists I know of that have had their work translated into French through one of the French publishers. So they should be up for the award as well, and not a one of them have been put up. The original, just to let you guys know, the original posting from the current president of their little committee that awards this this grand gesture every year, he specified that there are just not enough women and people of color in comics for them to honor them with such a prestigious Lifetime Achievement Award.
Wow.
Yeah, this is why it's been something of a little thorn in my side personally, because I'm sitting here going, I can name you at least 40 women and people of color that have been doing this at least since the 70s that I know personally.
It's like just looking in your backyard and being like, oh, nope, there's no one there, and okay, well, let's get what we can.
Yeah, so it's going to be all white cis men. Of the 40 years that they've been giving out this...
What is cis? It means same, right? Is that just another way of saying... Is that just a shorter way of saying heterosexual?
No,
Yes.
They're not trans.
Yeah.
It's essentially...
Essentially they haven't transitioned. They're of original birth.
Oh, okay.
That's the easiest way to put it.
Yeah.
But I just put it that way because, yeah, they've awarded this award once to one woman in 40 years.
That's gross.
Who was the woman?
Let me back up here real quick and bring that up.
It's probably some French woman that most of us have never heard of.
Well, I was just thinking,
I know they finally started even looking at people of color in the past couple of years because I believe it was a Japanese gentleman that won it 2 years back.
The restriction of them having to have been published in French is what's throwing me, because I could think of a huge list of people that should be eligible for an award like that. I don't know of any of them necessarily that have been published in French, but I don't read French comics, so.
Well, I was going to say, what I was trying to think of was Persepolis, which was published originally in French.
which is
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, yeah.
And the idea that that if that isn't a winner from this festival, then it's insane for them to claim that there's nothing.
Was that
Women and people of color are not doing enough work to do it, because Persepolis is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it did so well it became a movie.
Yeah.
So it's just like...
well? So did The Punisher like 5 separate times. That doesn't necessarily mean it's good stuff.
No, fair enough.
I assume Persepolis was written by a woman. I don't
Yes,
know. I
an
actually have
Iranian
someone
woman.
gave me the comic, but it's sitting in my enormous pile of shame of stuff that I'm super behind on.
Yes, it's a graphic novel by an Iranian woman whose family left Iran, and it was originally published in French.
Because she moved to France?
Well, they got out of Iran because
Yeah.
it was getting bad.
Yeah.
They arranged for her to leave to study in Europe, and she moved to France.
Okay, there we go.
Alright, let's see.
Although she did go back as an adult.
Okay, here it is. The name of the one female that has won is Florence Sestak. Yeah, she's a French artist, but just about everyone that has won it is white male.
Yeah.
2 years back was one Japanese gentleman. Bill Watterson's won it, so that's cool. But, I mean, it's just kind of one of those things that, yeah, there are plenty of people that get published in other countries,
Mm-hmm.
that should have been on this list, this Lifetime Achievement Award. They had to make it for a certain amount of years and whatnot, and that's fine, since it's considered a Lifetime Achievement Award. But, this is one of those fucking kicks in the teeth that people keep calling out nowadays. And everybody's throwing a fit saying, well, you're being too PC, but this is at the same time being too exclusive,
Yeah.
Alright, let's see. So, yeah, that's going a continuous, ongoing load of, oh man, bull hockey right there. Let's see. And that one's just keeps evolving into a lovely, I don't know, it's going to become Godzilla here soon or something. Shit. But, yeah, every news article I'm coming across, it's easily basically saying, look, straighten your shit up or get the fuck out, There's even one group here, let me find them, that have actually said that if this doesn't get changed, not only will they drop out of the Comics Festival altogether, and they're one of the main supports for the Comics Festival, they'll start their own with their own awards festival.
Nice.
Good.
So
Go then.
that will be interesting. That's just, like I said, this is an ongoing story, so we might hear more of it here in another couple of weeks, so that might be on the next podcast as well. Oh god, man. This thing just keeps rolling and rolling. I thought it was going to be pretty much over with now that they accepted. Yes, people get pissed off at this shit. Maybe we should rethink things. No, we don't want to rethink things. We're male in French. At least that's what it's coming across as. Yes, I am, American a female here over here. So, but that's just what every one of their interviews has come across to so far. It's like, oh dear, no, you need some PR firm or something to manage your shit because damn, it's just getting worse. All right. So that was comics news, guys. So, Unglam is constantly ongoing, and yes, people are still stealing our shit. Big breaths, everybody, big breaths.
Any good news?
Good news. We're still here and still making shit. Woohoo!
Woo!
Yep.
That's true. Alright, so, why don't we get over to the fun interviews? Let's go to the fun part. Yay! Alright, so Chad, why don't we hit you up first? You can tell us about your project and what you're doing.
Sure, yeah. So my latest project is called Handicape. And it, like, I always intended to release it as a graphic novel, but I wanted to publish it as a webcomic. So I've been doing that, and it's still like kind of going, I had to pause for a little bit because I'm not the artist, and the artist I was working with, we got some other like contract comic work, and so we had to like pause for a little bit. And so now I finally have like all the art done, and I'm doing the editing, and so I'm getting ready for a Kickstarter to start March 1st, which might be when this goes live. I don't know.
Woo!
Yes, it should be, barring any technical difficulties, because let's face it, that shit happens.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's a story. First Kickstarter, first graphic novel. I've published some other comic books, like collaborations with other people, but never anything quite this big or as like ongoing. So, yeah, I'm pumped.
All right. So how did you guys start Handicapped by chance? How long ago? How far back did you guys start it?
Wow, it was probably like 2011, maybe, or 10 or 11. I was riding with a friend of mine to go see, I don't remember which movie. It was a superhero of some sort. And he was in a wheelchair. I was driving, and the conversation kind of like spun from like what we were going to see to like a guy in a wheelchair with superpowers. And so it just like, that's a Handicape. And I was like, all right, cool. And then about a year or a year and a half later, I'd been stewing on it, and like kind of kept coming, like surfacing back up to mind, and I hadn't really thought of making a story about it. And then finally, the seed of a story like clicked for me. I was like, oh, I think I know where this is gonna go. And so it was maybe like sometime in 2012 that I actually like, called up my buddy. I was like, hey, I think this is a story. I think this is gonna be my next story. And so then it evolved quite a bit since then. And now, 2016, it's finally like something. So that was
Sometimes
about the
they have
beginning
to
of it.
percolate for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad
they
it did too. Because like I feel like my first response probably would have been really terrible. Like if I would have just been like, oh, this is what Handicape is, and ran with it, probably would have been pretty bad, I guess. I don't know. Who can tell?
I found the best stories actually need to percolate a little bit or a lot.
Hmm.
I mean, sometimes we don't always quite have the skill set we need to bring it to life right away.
Yeah, the first draft of Star Wars, like Episode 4, A New Hope, was less good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
So,
like
yeah.
Luke's name was Deke Starkiller, so.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, bad. That's bad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
All kinds of wrong.
the original Star Wars script was, if they'd gone ahead with that, it would maybe now be a cult classic of people who like to go back and watch bad sci-fi movies.
Yes.
Which is also an argument for why we all need editors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or a long time working on projects anyways.
Yeah.
Self-editing.
Oh, just having no men. Like, because one of the problems is when you get successful, you have a bunch of yes people around you who are like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Oh yeah, that sounds great. And then your quality of work tanks, and it's like, why isn't everything great anymore? It's like, well, because you're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say, but yeah.
Oh man, no. I think that overall taking your time with a project is the best option. You know, you just can't push it.
Well, there's also, I think, something to be said for, you know, your first project being just that. You know, because sitting around and thinking about something certainly has value and refining the idea, but also sitting around and actually producing something will probably make you learn at a more rapid pace, I would think. I don't know.
That's what happened with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of only waited, like, stewed on my idea for not even a year, and then I started making the comic, and I learned a lot more while making the comic than by waiting around and trying to plan.
Yeah.
I think there's just a certain amount to be said, stewing versus working, and maybe, you know, doing some intermediate stewing. Especially if you haven't released it right away, you know.
Especially like a break we took. So we got started on it and then took like a year break basically before we got back to it. And I definitely rewrote like how it ends, and most of like the direction of where like we traveled through the story was like rewritten in that time. So I'm like stepping back and like I see where this is going, and I threw out I don't know how many pages, just pages and pages of stuff where I was like, yeah, this just isn't going to work, and it kind of like refined, and I get like 1 point here and 1 point there, and I'd be like, this one will make it, this one makes a cut, and the rest of it all goes. And so yeah, kind of like that, you know, while you're making it retrospective too, kind of like, oh, I mean, this kind of sucks. Now let's not suck so much.
So you guys are launching your Kickstarter on the 1st. Are you nervous?
Yeah, I've never done anything like this. What's that?
Is this your first Kickstarter?
It is. And in fact, I'm like really bad at just generally like social media and connecting publicly mostly. And so it's kind of like intimidating too. It's like I gotta like put myself out there. So I feel kind of like I'm just spamming the world right now. I'm like, you know, there's a Kickstarter coming up, like one of the 6 billion Kickstarters that's happening right now, and this is the one you should support. But I also realize if I don't do that, then nobody knows about it, and then you know, it's just another one of those billion Kickstarters that nobody ever found.
Yeah, you just gotta scream about it.
Yeah.
Because no one else will.
It's true.
Exactly.
It's true. It's like I want everybody else to be like, oh, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And to be fair, well, first of all, I know that's not true, and second of all, it's like, well, if you do that for this one, then what about like every other Kickstarter that your friends or your friends or your friends have done? And you haven't read the whole thing because it's not all online yet, so you can't even like really say, hey, this is like the best book ever. You're kind of taking a gamble on it, and so so not going to get a lot of that probably either. But I can say it's like the best thing I've ever written so far, because there's no shame in that, I guess.
No, there isn't.
Yeah.
Nobody else is going to give you that good pat on the back like you can.
Yeah, here we go.
Good job, buddy. Yeah.
Way to go, me. My #1 Kickstarter backer is me. That's awesome, day 29. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a Kickstarter coming up. I have to get my first book ready, and my problems with it is I don't know how I'm going to have the time to do. Like, I'm gonna have to spend a bunch of time, which I don't have, researching how other people do Kickstarters
Oh, yeah.
that have like reward tiers that don't take any time to fulfill, because I don't have time to like make stickers and buttons and like the usual stuff that you normally see.
Yeah.
And I also don't have like a previous book that I can reprint or package with it or whatever. So I really don't know how I'm gonna. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I heard that doing less when it comes to rewards is better. That way you're not overwhelming yourself. That's what I did with mine, and I just kind of asked some of my friends who are fans of the comic, who are artists, to do like guest art that would be available as prints and little postcards along with the book. And you can get a different variety of those depending on what tier you picked. And so like all I have to really worry about is getting those printed. Because the art is already done by some awesome people.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Because especially you can build that into the reward levels and actually pay the people for their stuff.
Exactly, and if like you have friends who do have like a nice, good size of a following, they will help you promote your project. That's a lot of my friends did that, and I am forever thankful for them because I don't think my Kickstarter would have funded as fast as it did if it wasn't for them, and I love them so much.
You need a hug, Bree.
My Kickstarter ends tomorrow, and by the time that this airs, it'll be yesterday.
Aww.
But it
I'm
passed.
sorry.
But
Yay!
everything's good. It got funded. I can.
Woot.
So.
One of the things that.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say about like the rewards. Since I'm the writer, and this isn't like I hired the artist to do this, so he's not even so much like doing the Kickstarter as much as like, well, I hired him to do the art for my book. Like I can't offer a lot of custom like tiers as far as like art goes. Like nobody wants me to like I'll do a custom character profile for you, and write up the spec sheet, and like nobody cares about that, right? And so,
well,
like,
you should appeal to the D&D nerds.
Oh,
yes. It's true. I did actually think about that a little bit. Well, my halfway point was I'm actually a video game developer, so I've got a video game of my comic. So you roll around in the wheelchair, hacking computers, stealing identities. So I was like, well, I could throw that in there as like another tier that doesn't require like an artist to do awesome extra work.
There you go. You could do that. You could do custom backstories for people's characters for like D&D or some other type of RPG setting.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, and because that's something that I've been looking at too, since Border Kansas is just a novel. It's not any kind of art. And so trying to think about what I can do for that. And I think that some people even will just be happy if you list them as supporters in the book.
Mm-hmm. I also know that some people have done, who are writers, they write like an exclusive short story that is only available to whatever tier the backers choose.
Yeah.
So it's like an exclusive little story just for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
like it's kind of back to like Dave's thing of like how can I do this without putting like, my entire life of extra time into it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great.
yeah, it's ideas at least. I mean,
Oh yeah. Right now, I'm just focused on like not breaking the internet by doing something stupid and like killing Kickstarter. It's like, oh, that was so poorly thought out. We've destroyed Kickstarter and decided that wasn't a good idea.
We report to you today announcing that Kickstarter is dead. And tap plays.
no.
Yeah. It was a good run.
No.
Yeah.
At least your Kickstarter will get publicity for it.
That's
You
true.
would get on the theory that, you don't care what they say as long as they spell your name right.
Yeah, exactly.
They got everything right except my name.
No. All right, Bree, why don't we switch over to you real fast and you can talk about Patrick.
Patrick. So mine kind of it's about a guy named Patrick. He's a vampire. That's the name, Patrick the Vampire. My friend and I were waiting in line for a panel at a convention, and we're throwing around ideas for a stupid, silly vampire character, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And we had Patrick already kind of fully formed as a character within a matter of minutes, and one of the big plot points that has just finally happened in the story. So yeah, and then after months of obsessing over this character and his story, I decided to make a webcomic, and yep.
You sound like you're about to cry, hon. You're like, yes, I did it!
Yes! So much! No, I'm fine. I think that's just my default voice.
Yeah.
Shaky, I'm about to cry voice. But yeah.
Oh, good gravy. So you are just finishing up your Kickstarter.
Yes.
And you did hit your goal.
Yeah, I did. It's exciting.
So so you're about to launch into the black hole that is Kickstarter fulfillment.
Yeah, I don't have that much to worry about besides getting the prints printed and then doing a couple commissions who picked that for the few people that did pick that tier. Though I'm not sure if more people will pick that tier before tomorrow evening. So, but that shouldn't be that much to worry about. And yep.
Yay! So, do you have your books already printed?
Not yet. So I have to wait. I have to wait for the money from the Kickstarter in order to pay for that. I was hoping I would get them done by Easter weekend because I'm going to a convention that weekend, but they're not going to be done by then, so I'm just not going to stress about it. But I will be at VanCaf in May, and I'm excited that I'll have the books then. I just got my invite this morning. I'm excited to
Very
be there.
nice.
Yeah.
Have you printed before?
I have printed a tiny little sketchbook of mine through a website, but not full on. Here's a comic book I made. Read it with your face.
I say a book's a book, regardless of size. I know that just went straight to penis, but still.
Yeah, it's gonna be I already met with the printer. I got a quote and everything. I just gotta wait for the money, and then I can give it to them, and they can make the book.
You're like, okay, I'm waiting for the monies to land here. As soon as they're here, I will hand them to you.
Yay!
Yay!
I do have a little bit of polishing to do on the book itself, because just finding all those typos I've missed. But other than that, all the pages are there. You can read them online. And I'll be starting to post. Well, during the Kickstarter, I went on a little hiatus, and now I'm going to start posting again starting Wednesday, March 2nd, I think. No. Yes.
Yes.
Maybe? Yeah.
Yes. Well, that is the 2nd, and it is Wednesday. So.
Awesome, cool. I got it right. Yay.
Yay! Yeah, especially since this is leap year. Dun dun dun!
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh my god, we got an extra day. Oh my god.
We do, William.
Yeah, and it delayed my paycheck.
Yeah.
That's
because
rude.
we get paid on the last day of the month.
No.
Oh.
So I don't get paid till tomorrow.
You're like, no! You delayed my gratification of pizza.
Yep.
But I want it now.
No. Alright, well, so far, has Kickstarter, the website itself, been working out pretty good for you guys?
Yeah. It's very easy to use. Just a lot of verifying when you first start your little account and the project you have. It's just like, we want to make sure you're a real person with a bank account and stuff.
Yeah. I wasn't able to see, and I guess they just don't offer it, but like HD video for your Kickstarter video.
Yeah, no, it's like 260. Not 260. It's 64. I think
Yeah, it's like pretty lame.
you can like post it on YouTube or something in high def, but
Yeah. Yeah, I ended up like building a launch page on my website that like if you go there I've got the Vimeo in like full HD and then I'll either link out or just redirect you to the Handycape like Kickstarter. Because I was pretty disappointed. I mean, I didn't put too much, but I put quite a bit of effort into like getting a video, and I was like, hey, this should be a fun idea. This could be cool. And then like I go to upload it to Kickstarter, I'm like, this is gonna rock. I'm like, wait, why is it so pixely? And it's like, oh, because Kickstarter. And I just figured I could like put a Vimeo or YouTube link or something up there. No, I was very wrong.
yeah, no, and it's not even widescreen. It's like almost.
Yeah.
It's like it's 4:3 the dimensions, the ratio.
Yeah, 4:3. Yeah, it's just weird. Other than that, though, it's been pretty cool. Oh, and like the editing, like when you edit the story part, I was like, you get this little bitty box to like do everything. You got to do like put all your images and stuff, and so there's a lot of scrolling, and I thought that was a little inconvenient. Not quite as convenient as like a WordPress or something, or like a full-on like content editor. But otherwise, I mean, everything works good and saves good and makes me feel like I got a chance at this. So that's cool.
Yay!
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what you want, is at least a chance to put shit out there and go, hey, throw money at me, okay? This will be cool. Honestly, it'll be cool.
So, you know all that money that you didn't get paid on February 28th? Well, it could go right here now. That's what you need to do. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, so what are your plans for the future? Are you guys going to continue on with your comics as they are so far? Or, is this going to be just the 1-2 books maybe out of what you've got going?
Well, mine's going to be a 3-book. When the comic is complete and when I have it in print, it will be 3 books. I already have all the covers planned, and it will be another like 4 or 5 years until all that's finished. Gotta be fun.
I had a friend who was on that same path and thought that it was going to be a couple years and then got selected by Webtoons to be a featured artist. And now he's going to have it all done like the end of this year because you have to post like 20 panels or something a week.
Wow.
I don't know. It's like
Per panel?
per update.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So instead of doing like a page a week or a page every, a couple pages a week or something like that, I don't remember what they were saying, but like they have to have like a 20 panel is the minimum like size for an update, and they have to do it I think every weekday.
20 panel. That's like
How big is the page?
3 to 4 comic pages.
Yeah, it's like several pages, and it's vertical scrolling. It's like an infinite scroll kind of.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So Webtoons, I guess, apparently is a South Korean company that's come into the U.S. and so like they're more used to cranking out like just
Yeah.
I don't know an unrealistic amount of content.
Yeah, mangas really push a lot of stuff out. But of course, most mangas have like people that like assistants.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
They have people who literally just do backgrounds or inking or zip tones and stuff. So it's a team of 3 or 4 people at least.
But if that's all you're doing, you don't have to worry about like another day job. Then I could see it being feasible.
Yeah.
Well, I only get 2 pages out a week, but you can see the level of color and detail I put into mine. Yeah. So, I don't know. I couldn't do 4 pages a week. I might be able to do 3 pages a week every so often. Sometimes I have to, because like the other page I'm working on here is a double page. But that's just because I wanted to use bigger panels, not necessarily because there's more content.
Yeah, I think part of his problem is he had anticipated being able to work on this for a couple of years, and now he's like, my story is running out. Like, on top of all this, I'm going to run out of story. So, new plan, I guess.
Well,
It's got a work problem
is
to
that yeah? Is that a good problem to have or what?
Yeah, I guess that's the perfect problem to have, right?
Well, my solution is just start another story. See if you can, like, hey, well, this one's done now. I have another idea. Can I do it? Here's a script. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the thing about American versus other countries, because we do different types of long form versus what they do. Plus, their business model is just set up quite differently. Like Dave pointed out, you know, a lot of times it's a team actually working on, and not just one or even two people working on a comic or a strip or anything. So, I mean, it's a completely different setup in the long run.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of times their content goes so far out, because they stretch it out.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least they do. They have time to do stuff like, here's an establishing panel of a long shot, 3-point perspective of a city in rubble that probably took someone that would take me about 6 weeks to draw, but you know their dedicated background guy knocked it out in 2 days.
More than likely, yeah. Oh man, but that'd be a hell of a problem to have. I mean, I've got a lot written, but I don't think I could crank it out that fast.
I know it.
If you do it in batches, it might be faster. You sketch out a bunch of pages at the same time and then go to ink and color.
Yeah. That actually reminds me of a question, Bree. I was just flipping through Patrick the Vampire.
Yes.
And I feel like the early pages were like grayscale.
Oh yeah.
And then you shoot into like these awesome colors.
Yeah.
For the printing, and maybe if I'd like actually just read through or watch the Kickstarter video, which I plan to do as soon as we're done with this call. But are you planning on like coloring those for the printing at all?
I was either thinking of just putting some quick overlays over them just to kind of tint them. I'm not going to completely redo them, just to save time, and I have work to do. I have a job.
Yeah, you gotta pay the bills somehow.
But yeah, like that was something I was thinking of doing as a stretch goal, but it would just, I don't think I would have the time, and it would just be a delay to just having the book out there. But yeah, I started out doing black and white because I'm like, oh, this is quick. I can like finish a page in like 6 hours, and then I can post it. And now I tell myself, I'm like, I can do it in 10, when really it's like 16. But yeah.
Cool.
Definitely. Dave, you said you got your Kickstarter coming up here pretty soon?
Well, that's the plan. I mean, I have the book put together, you know, in InDesign, but I still have to scan some, you know, bonus stuff for like old character art. And then the hardest part about it, I think, is going to be, well, finding the time even just to finish that stuff, and then, like I said, you know, figuring out a bunch of bonuses that don't take any of my time, because here it is, 4 o'clock on Sunday, and I'm just now finishing up 1 of 2 pages for the week.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know how that's going to work out, but I got to figure something out, I guess, you know, and hopefully, I mean, everyone I've ever talked to about Kickstarters, they say Kickstarters are like having a full-time job, managing one, and I mean, I may have to like abandon the Kickstarter halfway through if that's the case, because there's just no way I have the time for that. If it's just something I can fire and forget and then just check back in on every once in a while, you know, then I guess, yeah, but otherwise, I just don't know what I'm going to do.
It's the promoting of it that takes time. I don't think. I mean, if you're working on pages or something for the comic that you're planning to kickstart at the same time, then I understand it can be like a full-time job. But if you already have the thing made and you're just needing the money to print it, like how I use Kickstarter, just like occasionally tweeting about it throughout the week, just to remind people, hey, this is a thing, you should throw your money at it.
Yeah, I mean, the
that's pretty
content
much
is basically done. All the comic pages are drawn. And like I said, I have a couple things to scan. I have to finish doing the cover, but yeah, not actually making the comic. That's not the problem. So hopefully, yeah, it won't be that much of a big deal.
it'll just like every couple nights just be like, hey, this is the thing, check it out. Thank you.
Throw this out into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like it. Come on. God damn it.
Like make a post in the morning for the morning people, and then make a post in the evening for the evening people who like check their internet things, whatever time they prefer.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I know you've got at least some sketches and whatnot you could probably use as just as fodder for maybe just a couple of prints.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
You don't have any early sketches or anything?
No, I do. That's the stuff I have to scan and then write up a little bit of stuff about. It's just I need to find a few days to actually sort through a bunch of old files, then scan it, then actually do all that writing. So, I mean, the plan is on the days that I have my colorist do the comic for me. That's what I'm supposed to be spending my time on. But he only does that for me once a month. So, I just have to find the time. That's it.
You might have to take a week off just to at least be able to get some of that done.
Yeah, I would prefer to avoid doing that because that would just eat into my small buffer, which would stress me out enormously, and I don't need that.
It's ideas, anyways. You know. Like Bree was saying, maybe you get a hold of some of your friends, and we'll do you some extra fan art pinups or whatever.
Yeah, that's probably a direction I might go.
Yeah, because then it's like art of the thing, but by someone else, and if you make it like exclusive through the Kickstarter, then people are like, oh dang, I need to grab that before it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just maybe a few little things. You don't have to go to an extreme.
Yeah. Like 2 or 3 people. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be stretch goal stuff.
Definitely.
Because having never done a Kickstarter before, I have no idea. Like, will I get half of what I want? Will I barely clear it, or will I, have some crazy blow up and make $300,000 and then start hyperventilating about taxes and stuff?
Well, I know that people will wait until the very end to donate, just to see all the updates and stuff before making a decision. People can edit their donation afterwards, like after they pledge, if they decide to go, oh, actually I want more, or actually I don't really want the thing, I just want the exclusive print or whatever.
Yeah.
It gives you and people flexibility. You can always add tiers when you start it. Like, people can ask you, like, hey, this is awesome, I want to help, but I can't afford this. Can you maybe offer this kind of a tier? And you can add that, and then they're able to pitch in.
Yeah, I'll definitely spend some time looking at other, mostly probably webcomic type Kickstarters or other, comic book type Kickstarters. And I'll just have to do a little intelligence gathering on that before I fire it off.
Yeah, I picked the brains of some of my friends who have already done Kickstarters. Just like, I just know that not doing a lot is key.
Yeah, I
Anything
always wonder
that
about
will
that.
be
Where I see a
easy to just order
Kickstarter
and
where it's
print.
like this. I mean, like running the. Well, I know some people. There are actual services that will run Kickstarters for you,
Yeah.
and I imagine for I don't know how much of the profits or
I fucking know. Stop.
so.
I've gotten messages from people who are just like, if you pay me like $25, I'll help promote your thing. So like there are people who like actively search out Kickstarters to help promote them. Of course, you pay them in order to.
Right.
Yeah. All right. How about you, Matthew? Have you thought about doing a Kickstarter for just your novel, at least?
I have. I've looked at it. Right now, since the first book is finished, I'm editing it to try to get it to kind of the best it can be, since I can't really afford to pay an editor. But right now, I'm weighing the options of trying to kickstart it or first submitting it the traditional route and seeing what happens.
Okay, let me ask, why traditional?
Primarily because it allows me to have the other people to do those things that I know I'm going to be terrible at, and because the part of me that has wanted to be an author since I was 8 years old it clings to the idea, and I recognize that it's absolutely, there are tons of people that do incredibly successful work that reaches a lot of people through independent publishing, but there is still that part of me that says, send it to a couple of companies first and see what happens, and then I can say to myself, well, fine, the traditional route didn't want me, so I will forge this path that lots of other people are forging, and I won't ever wonder if someone would have done it.
Yeah, it's just like might as well like just to give it a go. Like,
And I won't. Yeah, I mean, I won't be. It won't stop it. Like if I get rejected from traditional publishers, it won't stop me from going, fine, I'm gonna find the way to do this, even though I feel like I'm not incredibly well equipped to do it. But I will find a way to make it happen. But
never say die.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But there is still that
exactly.
part of me that wants to
At least
that
say you
wants to
tried.
yeah, and wants to go that route of the authors of older days that I admired and are the ones that inspired me to want to do it.
Gotcha.
You ought to check out.
I mean,
Real quick, you might want to check out. There's a podcast I listen to called. I should double check it. I think it's called Throwing the Gun.
Okay.
And it's a bunch of. Let me just double check that. Yeah, Throwing the Gun. It's a bunch of people who write superhero novels. But the reason I suggested it is because there's enough of them in the group that do the podcast that some of them have gone self-published, like Kindle route and stuff through Amazon. Some of them have done traditional publishing, and some of them have done both and switched from one to the other. And they have a few episodes where they talk about the pros and cons of doing it either way.
Okay.
And some of them even publish their books as a blog, which allows people to read them and comment on them. And even you essentially get free editing that way, and then they compile them into a book afterwards.
Well, and that's kind of what I've done, because Border updates through the Border Kansas website 2 times a week, and so about 1,000 words an update, and so people can go in and mostly my dad, but people can go in and comment.
It's okay. My mom reads my comic, and she. Yeah.
yeah, my mom does too. I mean.
And so that's how I went through in 18 months, 530 pages, that I have now compiled into a novel manuscript, or rather, it was always in manuscript form because of the word processing program I use, which, if you're a writer, I highly recommend Scrivener.
Yes, Scrivener is awesome.
But So I have that, and now I'm looking at what to do with it. But is that through the Pen and Cape Society?
Yes.
Okay, I just pulled it up. I will definitely look at that.
I'm the only one without a Kickstarter.
Well, I don't have one yet.
Someday.
Someday.
Oh.
Someday.
The Kickstarter that you wish.
Yes. One day the Kickstarter will be for me too. Yeah.
Someday I'll launch a Kickstarter.
Someday I'll have something published. Alright, so I think we're done with our nutbaggery for today. How about it?
Cool, because my computer's gonna die.
Yay! Alright. Well, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out, shooting the shit,
Thank you
and
for that.
talking Kickstarters with us.
Thank you for
thank
inviting.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Always welcome to come back. Always. So we will throw you another invite next time around and see if you're free.
Woo.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. This was episode 38 of The Trade, making comics for print and web. Thank you everybody so much for joining us. Matt, Dave, Chad, and Bree. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yay. All right, guys. Next time, we will catch you then. Bye.
Bye-bye.